Hi guys, today we invited Kees from the Hombergh over to the studio. Kees is an entrepreneur and an entrepreneurial coach. His main focus is on family businesses and SMEs with a very strong DNA. And today we invited him to have a discussion about that. Is there anything I missed? Maybe you would like to introduce yourself as well?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this. And what you already said, I started my business looking especially at small and medium enterprises and family business because they have another way of working with their company than the bigger companies. And I found that out during the time I was working at the Chamber of Commerce. Where I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I saw a lot of business plans of companies. And the incredible thing that was in the plan, in the theory, they were all had the ambition to grow more people, more employees, more turnover, more profit. And in reality, because at the same time I organized with a couple of lawyers a seminar about how to get rid of your personnel. And at moment one, the entrepreneur came with his business plan, and at moment two, he said, oh, I have too many and I want to get rid of them. And I was always wondering how come that what I've been told, and you also, and all students at business economics studies, that the general theory and the models we have, the marketing, doesn't work within small companies, within family companies. And that is where I thought from, hey, how come and what is this? And what I found out is that small companies, medium companies, and all family business is more related to the person, the DNA of the person, the DNA of the family, the ambitions, their drives, but also what do they want to leave behind. Their legacy is more important in the strategy for the company than all these theories about growth and market share and that kind of thing. And of course, making profit and making turnover is very important because it's an entrepreneur, business-wise. But the way it develops is more connected to the personal development of the entrepreneur.
That's very interesting. You also wrote a book about it.
Yes.
Kees. A very lovely book. I read it prior to this interview, and there's also it is a very practical book. People can actually go through all the steps that you've been to yourself, and the basic structure is, I believe the first one is the source, the bron, and then the second biggest step is the mission. Mm-hmm. Maybe can you talk us through the 7 steps of the book?
Yes, because the subtitle of this book is know what you want and make something out of it. And the 7 steps is divided into 3 major parts. The first one is to know what you want with your life. You have to know who you are. So the first 3 steps are connected to who are you and who do you want to be. And what you often see is that people, they develop in one direction because of they think that their parents want that, or the company where they work want that. And sometimes when they have the age of 40, then they're thinking, hey, what I've been doing all this time, and is this really what I want to do? So have a look at yourself. Who are you and what do you want with your life? It's also connected to Stephen Covey. Begin with the end in mind. But to know what your end in mind is, what you're really going for, you first have to know who am I. The funeral speech. You know the funeral speech? What do you want that people, of what do you want that people say about you when you are gone? And then live your life the way that they at the end can tell this about you. And that's what I also to young people and students always say in this book is more on personal development. Try to figure out what do I want with my life and what do I really value and what do I appreciate and what do I want to leave behind and what do I want to teach my children. And all these questions I also ask the entrepreneur to help him to become, to get him know himself better, to understand why he makes such decisions and why he wants to be an entrepreneur. So the first part of the 7 steps is know who you are, and not your ego, but your authentic me. And that's why I chose also the title for Kees, because in the book I use myself as an example through these 7 steps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes it actually very, very easy to read, very nice, because I could really connect to your story. We discussed this before, but I really felt like I've been to some of the same stages as you've been through when you were younger.
Thank you.
So that was super nice, yeah. And it's also interesting. So last year I worked for the startup Pitchy in Eindhoven, and we were talking to a lot of venture capitalists to get some funding in, and they kind of said the same thing. They didn't really care too much about the business model. Their main focus was on who are you as an entrepreneur, how strong is the team, do they have the power to the right characteristics to actually push this idea into the market and to actually make it. And it's not necessarily that the best plan will get you there. It's, do you have the power to do it, and do you have the drive to do it, that vision that you talked about. And that was a very nice parallel to notice, indeed. How is that so important?
When I go back to the book, the second biggest part is, first you know who you are, what your DNA is, and then when you build your vision, your dreams, based on your DNA, so that they are connected, that gives a very strong power to you and also to the company. First of all, people want to work with you because they feel attached. They can connect with you and the vision because they know you also as a person. So there's nothing, not a way of acting, but it's real. And the same goes for your customers and your suppliers. They want to do business with you, and of course they do business with the company, but the intention is to do business with you. So they feel connected to you. And when you have a social identity within your company, which fits with your own identity, then customers and suppliers feel attached to that, and they want to also be a part of that. And that is what makes a strong business. And also, when you look at the most famous entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs and Richard Branson, they built their companies based on their own being and on their own vision and of life. And they didn't end the university. They were school dropouts because they had a very strong vision of what they want to become and how they wanted to do that. And that is what attached, where people want to be a part of. They feel connected to it. They have a sense of belonging to be a part of that. So when you can translate your who am I into and what do I want, that connection makes the company very strong.
That's a very good explanation. And I'm wondering, because a lot of people my age, they don't know yet really where to go. They are living in self-doubt and all of that. Because it's, I don't know, it feels like a very big burden to decide where your career should go at this moment. So a lot of people have questions about it. They struggle with that. And I think that's a very, very key element in your theory as well. How do you make sure your mission, that you 100% believe in your mission? Because I feel like it's easy to analyze all the stuff that you've been through and your history, the first part, the source, but then to build a mission, a vision where you truly believe in, I feel like a lot of people are still struggling with that, to come up with that mission and then you stick to that mission for a long time and not switch to another mission,
Never give up. That's my first reaction to your question. A while ago I talked to an entrepreneur, and the reason I talked to him is it was family business, and his dad died, and I went to the funeral, and then 2 months later I had a talk with him, and he talked about the history of the company, and they are now doing something with how you call it, foam, which they use as an underlayer for artificial grass. sports fields, that kind of products.
Mm.
But before that, they had a complete other business. But he said something very interesting. He said, never change your goals. What you can change is the road towards it, because the road is never straight, it's never one line from here to there.
Mm.
It's always like life. But never change your goal. You can change your road. You can also change your transport vehicle. Instead of using a bike, you can use a car, or you can go by foot. But never change your goal at the end, because sticking to your goal, and I had the same experience when I started to write this book. Everybody was saying, I don't write a book, it doesn't bring you money. But that was not the reason for me to write this book. I had another mission why I had to write this book, and when I had listened to all those people that don't write a book, there was still now not yet a book, but I didn't listen, and I wrote a book, and now I'm sitting here, and you are interviewing me because of this book, and it's like a how you call that in an olievlek. What's the word for it? It keeps on spreading. It's spreading the news, and to give you another example. And that's all what I use at the university in Maastricht. During my leadership course, I talk about Martin Luther King. He said, I had a dream. And his dream was not that he, at the end, was going to be shot.
Yeah, that's right.
But his dream still lives on. And maybe Barack Obama could become the first Afro-American president of the United States because of Martin Luther King. So a mission and a dream is stronger than the person itself. And a mission and a dream, other people who are connected to that can bring that dream alive and help you to create that dream.
See, and I think that's why a lot of people are struggling with that dream, because there are a lot of people that also don't dare to come up with that dream, because it's such a big thing. It's kind of like your purpose in life, and it's such a big thing in your life to have that mission. And I think what a lot of people struggle with, and myself included, is what should you stick to? Where should you put your focus on? Because it's very easy to bet on multiple horses and just to see where life takes you, but that ultimately doesn't bring you anywhere, because you are following trends instead of going for that one goal. But how is that something that is just in you, that you are a person that has a strong vision, or is it something you can get?
Nah. I work with a lot of students of your age, also with young entrepreneurs, and what you most often see is that they are still struggling with these questions, because it are really big questions, and at the same time what you at your age are doing is building up a life. Making sure that you have work, or that you earn money, that you can start a family or live together, whatever. So you have another priorities at that stage in your life. Most entrepreneurs I work with in reality are between 40 and 50. Because that is the moment when you start to think in your life from, okay, I have a family, I have my own house, I have a good company, but is this really what I want in my life? And then those questions become very important for you, and they were more, what's the meaning of life? So I was, I'm now 14 years an entrepreneur, so I was, till my 40s, I used to work for several companies, including the Chamber of Commerce. But I felt that I wasn't really happy. And then I made the switch from, hey, I am not happy. It's going well. I have a wife, 2 kids, I have my own house. What's wrong? And then these questions came. So, and one of the things I also say in this book, and that's also a very big message for the young people and young entrepreneurs, mistakes are the building blocks for success. and don't blame yourself, and don't give up. Just go on, because trial and error, that is the way we live our life.
Yeah.
And that's still the way I work now for 14 years as an entrepreneur. It's still searching, but if you have an end in mind, you know where you are going to, and the road can lead you to another way, but you know at the end, I want to come there.
And what would you say to the people that don't have a mission yet? Because would you say it's a wise decision to use the trial and error method to get to your mission? Would that be something wise?
That's how I lived my first 40 years of my life.
Yeah.
But what you often see is with young entrepreneurs, they have a goal, and they have also the energy and they have a drive to do that. So for them, I think it's important to think also about when am I successful? What do I have when I am successful? When I look at my company, when it's a successful company, what do I see? How many people are working there? How many customers? International or only in the Netherlands? In which sector? So that are questions you can already ask yourself. But let's not forget that 70% of people who are now studying, they don't have an idea, and they even do not know that they want to become an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Because entrepreneur is something, and when you have it at your young age, it's very strong already. And most people who have this feeling already, they also know what they want to reach in their life.
Mm-hmm. So then it's kind of you're born as an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
can
you have a bit of that DNA with you,
mm-hmm.
and that's so interesting also in family businesses.
Because the successors, they not always have the same DNA.
No, they don't have to have the same DNA, but the entrepreneur DNA is a bit in it. And what you often see is that the next generation, when they are 20, between 20 and 30, and I ask them, do you want to be the successor of your dad? No, of course not. I see the trouble they have, and I don't want that. And then when they become 35, then suddenly, hey, this is really great what they have, and this has a value, and this means something to the family, and it's important for me, and it's important for my family and for my dad. So, yeah, I want to take over. I want to be the next generation within the company. Yeah.
Okay. So the first generation entrepreneurs, they are more born with it, and then you have a different subset. They are more grow into it.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's in Dutch we have two sayings about this. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Mm-hmm.
That has to do with the DNA. And the second one is at a young age you learned it, and then at an old age you're going to practice it. So they see it at home, they see it at the company. Sometimes their parents take their kids to the place where the production is done. So they grow up with it, and that makes sure at later when you are 30 or 40 years old, then it comes out and hey, I want to be the successor in the family business.
I really recognize that with Martijn Roefs, the other person from the Rocket Academy. He has a very successful father figure in the family, and also a great entrepreneur, and they talk about it at the dinner table, and he is very driven, very ambitious, and you can really tell that he's one of those people that is a great entrepreneur in himself already. So it's really great to see that indeed. And then there are also other persons that I know that more try to develop themselves as entrepreneur, because they have that feeling as well, but they didn't grow up in that environment, so they have to discover it and learn a lot before you get to that stage. That's very interesting. And I was also wondering, during your time at the Chamber of Commerce and within your company Mankind, you meet a lot of entrepreneurs. Would you be able to, if there is any at all, would you be able to describe the archetype of the entrepreneur that you meet during all those meetings?
That's a very interesting question, because I think there is not one archetype for describing a entrepreneur. What I often see is that personal development is very important for the entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurship is day in, day out, keep on challenging yourself. You can never lay back and say, hey, now I'm successful, because you constantly have to work on getting better, what are the changes in the market, so stay focused and keep on working in your company. Second thing, what I always hear is I want to be independent. I want to make my own decisions. I want to be in charge. I want to be the leader of my life. I want to be the director on the stage, not somebody else. So that are the most two important drives or reasons for becoming a entrepreneur, which I most often hear when I talk to entrepreneurs when I'm coaching them.
Okay, so self-development and independence.
Independence, yeah.
Would you then also say that people that have as a driver money, just want to get rich real quickly, would you say that's not a sustainable goal to have? Does that not work in the long run?
Yeah, I think it doesn't work in the long run. It can be a very good driver reason for becoming an entrepreneur. And I know also people who say, "No, I want to become rich. That's the reason why I want to be an entrepreneur." But I always say, quick money comes with great risk. So it's a risky business where you can earn a lot of money, but also lose a lot of money. And what you often see with these kind of entrepreneurs, they are willing to take that risk. That means that they can go very high, but they can also fall very, very low. And on the other hand, this weekend I saw it again. The Wolf of Wall Street was on television, and Jordan Belfort is that kind of entrepreneur, and he even says it in the movie. I've been poor and I've been rich, and every time I choose rich. And he has the energy and also the personality to, even when he is complete bankrupt and he's completely bottom, he has the power to rise himself up to great success again. And you see that with more entrepreneurs. But really sustainable, I think it has to do also with your values, with your norms. What do you want to leave behind? So it's more the combination of being successful combined with a moral compass, as I call it.
Yeah.
That makes more sustainable, successful entrepreneurship.
Because in the movie, Jordan Belfort is quite a morally corrupt person. Basically, that's how he gets rich. And after that, he goes into prison and he gets punished for his behavior, basically. But actually now, last year he visited the Netherlands and he gives all these talks about his adventures and how to do business and all that. So now he kind of has a sustainable business model for his own living.
That is also very important. It's good that you say that, because what is, I think, the most important for entrepreneur is learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, so that is kind of the self-development journey, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so because I think he maybe had that realization later. He became rich real quickly and then had to learn from all his mistakes. But now he's kind of, I think maybe now he has the better drivers.
He's stable in his life, and
okay. Yeah, that's great. It's great to see that you can, even if you want to make a quick buck, you can still grow to be a sustainable entrepreneur.
Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, that touches quite an interesting topic, because in a lot of self-development plans, reflection plays a key role, and I think that also would be able to help Jordan Belfort in his younger years if he had more moments of reflection. How does reflection play a role in your book, in your methodology?
It's the foundation of my book and the way I work. It's constantly looking at yourself, reflecting on yourself, reflecting on the things that you have learned. And constantly question yourself, because that is the only way of self-development. If you don't ask yourself the question every day, what went wrong, what went good, what did I learn from this? That's the only way to develop. Take nothing for granted. Take nothing as that's the truth, because there is no truth. Keep on being curious. Keep on. I also sometimes I say, have the ability to stay childish and look with the eyes of a child and keep on questioning. Why did I do this? Why is this so important for me? Why didn't I choose for this or for that? So constantly keep on reflecting on yourself. That's key.
And very concretely, how would you put that into your business? How would you try to, because at our previous university, the University of Eindhoven, we had this personal development plan which we had to write, and then we had to create fixed times where we would have reflection meetings and try to involve a lot of people in that and create smart goals where you have very specific measurable goals to properly reflect on what you're doing and if you are actually reaching the goals that you set out to reach. Do you also have such tips to kind of make the path measurable and actually that you can see the development as well?
Good question, and I want to say two things to this. First of all, most successful entrepreneurs start with a dream or a vision or an ambition, and that's more a picture an afbeelding,
Image.
Yeah, of an image of what they want to become or how their company looks like. That's the right part of your brain, where the creativity and the fantasy is connected. But we have two hemispheres in our brain, left and right side, and the left side is more the logical one. And the moment you translate your dream into a plan, then you connect the right side with your left side. And what you see is that people who are able to have that vision have that the ability to see what their eyes cannot see yet. So it's not in reality. And everything is created twice, and it starts with the mental creation. And then the second step is the physical creation, and that is the plan. So what you need to become very successful is, first of all, have that dream, have that vision, and the ability to translate that into a plan. And that is what you learn at school, to make it smart and make goals and 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, and that kind of stuff. The second thing what I wanted to say about this, and now can you repeat the question again, please?
Yeah, do you have any tips to make actually a vision concrete?
Yeah, now I know. The second thing what you have to organize is based on that self-reflection, and you can do that within your company, but you can also do that at home. Make sure that you have, when you have for instance, a management team, make sure that the people within the management team are not the people that admire you. Make sure that they are have the power to be to criticize you, and to dare to ask you questions. Why should you do that? Or what brings you to make this decision? Or what kind of arguments are laying behind this to do this? Because that's also what a coach does to the entrepreneur. Start asking questions. And at the moment you are the entrepreneur, you need to organize that surrounding where people dare to start asking you questions. And when you are with a small company and you don't have a management team, maybe it's your partner at home. Talk with him or her about your ideas, and he or she will tell you, that's a crazy idea, don't do that. And that doesn't mean that you don't have to do it, but you start thinking about, hey, why is he or she reacting in that way? So my idea is not yet completely final to work it out. So make sure that you organize your own opposite people who dare to challenge you and say, hey, don't do this, think it over twice.
I completely agree with that. And I think which is also very important is that you have some kind of structure in it. So, for instance, come up with once a month you have a meeting with some people from another company in the same industry and just talk about how stuff is going and try to reflect together. But I think that structure is really good, because otherwise it's really easy to kind of forget and to kind of have create a different surrounding, and hire people that are less critical because you kind of like that specific idea that you were going for.
And they work for you, so there is a kind of hierarchy.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for them to jump on the same level and say to you, hey, don't do that. So you have to organize it and have also the discipline to do that in a frequent way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very good. One other question, if we go back to the vision, if we stick to that, because the vision kind of is based on who you are, the DNA, right? But what if you are in the situation that you are a very shy, introverted person and you don't really go out of the house much, but you want to become something else? You have a vision of you as this very extravagant entrepreneur, something like that. Is that a possibility? How close should you stick to your personality, and how much can you change it to actually, develop yourself into something else?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Is it something for the business coach or for the psychology?
Yeah, maybe that's a good one.
Yeah, what I want to say is come out of the box, put your toe in the water, feel how cold it is, and we see what you often see with a lot of artists, that they are very shy and introvert, but the moment they stand on the stage, they become very extrovert. So you have to find out for yourself whether that is possible. On the other hand, last summer, during summer course at the university in Maastricht, I had a group of international students, and one lady was from China. And at a young age, she was a very talented piano player. But at the age of 10, 12, she got problems with her right ear, and she became deaf at her right ear. And that frustrated her, and then she stopped playing the piano. But during that course, they have to write a kind of personal mission statement, also with a final destination. And she said, my dream is still becoming a musician. And I told her that, and that's the same with the mental creation, music isn't composed by hearing it, it's composed by hearing it in your own head. So you don't need your ears to already hear the music you want to compose. And she sent me an email when she was back in China that she was starting playing the piano again. So, and that's the same with what we told already. Never give up on your goal, but change the way it helps you to reach your goal. And of course, a fish cannot fly.
Yeah.
Although there are flying fishes, but
that's true.
Normally a fish, be realistic.
Yeah. True. Yeah, that's good. Because if we try to look at that from a perspective of a business, you've seen a lot of businesses that go from one business model to another, actually successfully, which doesn't necessarily have to change your DNA as well, but it kind of takes a lot from a company to completely change the way they work, to go to that other market or to the other business model.
I often say to companies, family businesses, new generations within the family, don't be too conservative. Yeah, but we have to take care of the company and always be an entrepreneur and always look with the eyes of an entrepreneur. And that doesn't mean that you have to change your DNA. You change your business. That's something completely else. Your product, your services don't have to stay all the time the same, because they are not 100% connected to your DNA. The way you do business, that stays the same. But what the business is can change.
Right.
So be innovative.
Okay. So it's really about the core principles of how to. Okay. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, I was thinking of the Netflix business. I mean, they first started off as renting out DVDs and then sending them by email by mail. Sorry, so you would really have a physical copy in your email box.
Yeah.
But now, of course, they are known for their streaming service, which is a completely different way of doing business. But they still, I guess they kind of still use the same values in their business.
And it's a technological innovation. Make use of it.
Okay, that's a great lesson to be learned there, I guess. So right now in this world where we see this change from Netflix going to a digital-based platform, there are actually a lot of other opportunities for entrepreneurs to start as well with the coming of the internet and the globalization of the market. How does that have an impact on entrepreneurs? Do you foresee more people becoming an entrepreneur, and how do they react to that?
Yeah, I think that there, what you already said, the opportunities to become an entrepreneur are very big. I never saw them so big. So it's more easier to become an entrepreneur, but that doesn't mean that it's more easier to be a successful entrepreneur. It still has to do with your personality. It's so the environment and the circumstances are very good, but it's your personality which leads to successful entrepreneurship. And I think the world will be, as it is now and also in the future, will be divided into two groups. One, there is a group who wants to have lead over their own life, want to make their own decisions, so what entrepreneurs also do. And the other group who finds it very comfortable when somebody else is taking responsibility of their life and taking care of them. And it doesn't mean that they are passive people or reactive people, but they don't have the ambition to become an entrepreneur. And that is now and that will always be. So yes, the opportunities are very great to become an entrepreneur, but on the other hand, there will always be a part of a group of the people who don't want to be an entrepreneur, and that's okay also.
Yeah, I think that's very true. But for the people that do want to become an entrepreneur these days, is there anything you would like to give them as a piece of advice or some kind of tip to get started and to become a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah. Well, first of all, dare to dream, but a dream is not enough. When you stick to your dream and you don't put action to it, that's why this subtitle is Know What You Want and Make Something Out of It. When you have a dream, translate it to a plan and start working with that. Otherwise the dreamer stays a dreamer and never becomes an entrepreneur. So it's about having the mental creation but also be able to get that physical creation done. So rely on your dream, but have the courage to start working on it and become an entrepreneur by doing so. That's the first tip. And connected to that is believe in your dream and believe in yourself that you have the ability to make it really work. And secondly, because starting a company, it's a very lonely and risky activity. So make sure that you in your surrounding have somebody or more people who support you, but also can help you, being a mental coach, being a business coach, who can also criticize you without negatively, but helping you in a positive way, saying, hey, think this over again, and what do you mean by that, and why is this so important for you? So make sure that you're in your environment, you have somebody who can help you on that way of developing as an entrepreneur. That's the second tip. Third one is when you start as an entrepreneur, start with what you have. Make it small. Comparable when you have to cook dinner for the evening, look in the fridge, what is already in the fridge, and try to make with what you have in ingredients a good menu. And don't, and a lot of entrepreneurs do that. They write a business plan and they say, oh, I need this and this and this and this, and then they have to go to a bank to loan money. So they already start with a debt. I think the best way to start is start with what you already have. Work with that, make money, save some money for new investments, and that is the way to build your company.
Yeah, I think that's also actually the reason why we connected in the first place. Because last year an article was published in the newspaper about me and my entrepreneurship, and I was also talking about this, and I gave the example of my uncle's company. He has the biggest barbecue company in the country, so he kind of organized catering for everyone, and he also just started really small with maybe €100 to buy some meat and a barbecue and organize the local neighborhood barbecue, right? And it gives you a lot of opportunity and space to make mistakes and to grow and to really get to know the nitty-gritty of the market. So I think that's a very, very good and valuable advice there.
Trial and error.
Yeah, you can.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And build based on those mistakes.
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah. So I think we have finding a right mentor, so some kind of advisory board. Believe in yourself and your goals and stick to it. Make it concrete, and then make mistakes and start as small as possible. Work with the ingredients that you have, basically.
Yeah. And don't go for quick wins.
Mm.
Focus on the long term. And in the beginning, sometimes it's very disappointing. It's hard work. It doesn't pay off. Keep on going. Don't look for the quick wins. Look for the long-term results. That's very important. And that is what you see in family business. In family business, the long term is always more important than the short term. It's not about quarterly reports. It's about generations. And that is important, I think.
That's very beautiful. Indeed.
That's why my next book is about family business. It's a story about a family, the second generation, who's now the CEOs of the company, and they are transforming their company to the third generation. And I choose to write it in a story way, so I have the ability to show to the reader the conflicts and the relationships within the family as people, how they have influence on the way the succession is organized within that company. So it's about brothers, but also nephews and people who marry into the family, jealousy, brother fight, that kind of things, which have a big influence on the development of companies. That's why I wrote this book.
Yeah, I really love that it's in a story, and I see this is really about the DNA. This next book is really about the DNA, and then you write it as a story, which is very closely related to your DNA.
That's my DNA, yeah, storyteller.
Yeah, perfect. I really love this, and I'm definitely gonna read it when it comes out. What is the title of the book?
It is now the manuscript is at the publisher, and I probably think it will be in spring on the market. And the title of the book is also connected to this one, is in Dutch, Jij niet, ik wel, what means in English, not you, but me, as a successor of the family business.
Oh, there's a lot of tension already in that sentence. Nice. I'm very much looking forward to reading it. And I think that's a very nice note to end this interview podcast. And I would like to thank you very much for all the valuable lessons and insights into the world of entrepreneurship that you were willing to share today. And I'm looking forward to hear more about you next time.
Thank you.
Merci. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly did. Please subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of these podcasts. And if you want to see more of Kees van Hombergh, I also added a video of a web lecture where he explains the irrational side of strategy development. Thanks for watching again.